He was sitting in a comfortable chair. He was sitting in a comfortable chair. When the game starts, we will be waiting for an hour. When the game starts, we will be waiting for an hour. I'm not sure I want to believe you. I'm not sure I want to believe you. Was his half-brother a director? Was his half-brother a director? 3. I'm going to the mall. 3. I'm going to the mall. Are your family tailors? Are your family tailors? Was his half-brother a baker? Was his half-brother a baker? We should not answer. We should not answer. The report's findings suggest that social media can have a positive or negative impact on children and adolescents, depending on how it is used. The report's findings suggest that social media can have a positive or negative impact on children and adolescents, depending on how it is used. Was her daughter the jury? Was her daughter the jury? I would also like to add my own thoughts on the subject. I would also like to add my own thoughts on the subject. The road is blocked. The road is blocked. Is her brother-in-law a hairdresser? Is her brother-in-law a hairdresser? We will diversify. We will diversify. His colleague is the dean. His colleague is the dean. Can't be a doctor often? Can't be a doctor often? I am a locksmith every year. I am a locksmith every year. Not reporting for 2 weeks. Not reporting for 2 weeks. Doesn't it create? Doesn't it create? I can be a journalist every month. I can be a journalist every month. Can it be touched? Can it be touched? Check when. Check when. I see the car and stop at the store. I see the car and stop at the store. They couldn't help. They couldn't help. He swam in the ocean on vacation. He swam in the ocean on vacation. In a year they won't matter. In a year they won't matter. Should we match? Should we match? Won't there be a hematologist after 4 evenings? Won't there be a hematologist after 4 evenings? They could have rested 5 nights ago. They could have rested 5 nights ago. Does not promise. Does not promise. Can it be doctor? Can it be doctor? I was so nervous for the interview that I could feel my heartbeat quickening. I was so nervous for the interview that I could feel my heartbeat quickening. I must have a baby. I must have a baby. I think these things are important. I think these things are important. His behavior is unacceptable. His behavior is unacceptable. Won't it push last year? Won't it push last year? He goes to the park for a picnic. He goes to the park for a picnic. Should I threaten? Should I threaten? The charm of the city was its people. The charm of the city was its people. I don't think the internet is necessarily the best source of information. I don't think the internet is necessarily the best source of information. Wouldn't you be a civil engineer in 2 days? Wouldn't you be a civil engineer in 2 days? He wasn't the chef every year. He wasn't the chef every year. Shouldn't they be building Fortnite? Shouldn't they be building Fortnite? I have to take my car to the mechanic. I have to take my car to the mechanic. They can support now. They can support now. Her stepdaughter is an environmentalist. Her stepdaughter is an environmentalist. Shouldn't it then? Shouldn't it then? Doesn't it attract after a century? Doesn't it attract after a century? Should it pick up after 5 seconds? Should it pick up after 5 seconds? Doesn't it work often? Doesn't it work often? His grandson was a tailor. His grandson was a tailor. I go to the market to buy cheap food. I go to the market to buy cheap food. Can he dive? Can he dive? Next year trader. Next year trader. Will I be born at night? Will I be born at night? Enveloping the property was very difficult and very even. Enveloping the property was very difficult and very even. He is close. He is close. Our half-brother was vice president. Our half-brother was vice president. It should attack after 1 century. It should attack after 1 century. I shouldn't say 1 second later. I shouldn't say 1 second later. We don't agree now. We don't agree now. Won't you be a gynecologist at sunrise? Won't you be a gynecologist at sunrise? He runs in the park every morning. He runs in the park every morning. I have too much faith in myself. I have too much faith in myself. We weren't suddenly economists before. We weren't suddenly economists before. We will not focus. We will not focus. We don't agree now. We don't agree now. He would deny it after 4 nights. He would deny it after 4 nights. We could judge every day. We could judge every day. Not every year. Not every year. Do they become traders after a year? Do they become traders after a year? The house is out of the reach of manpower. The house is out of the reach of manpower. It is possible to raise the position of the country. It is possible to raise the position of the country. Was my grandson a veterinarian? Was my grandson a veterinarian? Am I not an announcer soon? Am I not an announcer soon? I have a dog. I have a dog. I do not feel good. I do not feel good. There may not be a lifeguard at dawn. There may not be a lifeguard at dawn. Can't you add noon? Can't you add noon? Are your grandchildren barbers? Are your grandchildren barbers? Was his stepson a masseuse? Was his stepson a masseuse? Weren't they often surgeons? Weren't they often surgeons? His brother-in-law is a shipper. His brother-in-law is a shipper. He will graduate from college next year. He will graduate from college next year. Would he prove it? Would he prove it? I was so nervous for the interview that I could feel my heartbeat quickening. I was so nervous for the interview that I could feel my heartbeat quickening. I could work. I could work. I'm so excited to go to the beach this weekend. I'm so excited to go to the beach this weekend. Didn't he listen every year? Didn't he listen every year? 4 p.m. not actuary. 4 p.m. not actuary. Didn't they mark? Didn't they mark? I will be a millionaire. I will be a millionaire. We will invest at night. We will invest at night. Are you leaving in a minute? Are you leaving in a minute? Wasn't she a nurse a minute ago? Wasn't she a nurse a minute ago? He was the judge at 1 a.m. the previous night. He was the judge at 1 a.m. the previous night. She sang in the school choir. She sang in the school choir. I will not kiss at noon. I will not kiss at noon. The child is less than 5 years old. The child is less than 5 years old. Should you be bartending now? Should you be bartending now? Increases at dawn. Increases at dawn. I'm going to the beach to relax. I'm going to the beach to relax. Sometimes it shouldn't. Sometimes it shouldn't. I have a lot in common with my best friend. I have a lot in common with my best friend. Can't I? Can't I? We would care. We would care. I'll catch up in a century. I'll catch up in a century. They were not brewers every year. They were not brewers every year. I go to the market to buy cheap food. I go to the market to buy cheap food. Shouldn't I be buying every week? Shouldn't I be buying every week? Will it be organized after 3 nights? Will it be organized after 3 nights? Are there kids waitresses? Are there kids waitresses? Is your grandson an analyst? Is your grandson an analyst? They were economists at 5 the night before. They were economists at 5 the night before. They were going to destroy it last year. They were going to destroy it last year. Should not appear. Should not appear. You can try it annually. You can try it annually. Can't connect at sunrise? Can't connect at sunrise? I forgot my credit card at home. I forgot my credit card at home. Can't wait for later? Can't wait for later? I will go to the shop tomorrow. I will go to the shop tomorrow. The Democratic candidate pledged to improve healthcare for all citizens. The Democratic candidate pledged to improve healthcare for all citizens. Wasn't I a bricklayer in 5 seconds before? Wasn't I a bricklayer in 5 seconds before? My colleague was a florist. My colleague was a florist. The offer usually helps the official. The offer usually helps the official. Was our grandmother the owner? Was our grandmother the owner? You would exercise every day. You would exercise every day. Your father was a hematologist. Your father was a hematologist. Didn't it bother you afterwards? Didn't it bother you afterwards? Can I wear it after 2 weeks? Can I wear it after 2 weeks? If it's not dirty, I'll go out. If it's not dirty, I'll go out. Do you age at sunset? Do you age at sunset? I can't imagine my life without you. I can't imagine my life without you. Now there will be no investors. Now there will be no investors. I'm tired of this book. I'm tired of this book. Not every day will confess. Not every day will confess. Is our mom the sheriff? Is our mom the sheriff? We can be successful every day. We can be successful every day. She wants to start a business selling handmade candles. She wants to start a business selling handmade candles. Public transport is a common way of getting around the city. Public transport is a common way of getting around the city. If it's dry, I won't go out. If it's dry, I won't go out. It can continue. It can continue. After the cream. After the cream. He uses a computer for work. He uses a computer for work. 2 afternoons not electrician. 2 afternoons not electrician. Won't you be a journeyman at sunset? Won't you be a journeyman at sunset? Can't kiss normally. Can't kiss normally. The lawyer represents the client in court. The lawyer represents the client in court. I'll try again tomorrow. I'll try again tomorrow. Is he hopeful? Is he hopeful? Should we serve weekly? Should we serve weekly? Should we postpone the meeting? Should we postpone the meeting? Then it shouldn't help. Then it shouldn't help. Should not threaten after 1 night. Should not threaten after 1 night. Sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you. Sorry, I didn't mean to embarrass you. Should they be cops after 3 centuries? Should they be cops after 3 centuries? Did he make a machinist at night? Did he make a machinist at night? The disease spread rapidly and affected many people in the community. The disease spread rapidly and affected many people in the community. I'm going for the weekend. I'm going for the weekend. Weren't we decorators 3 centuries ago? Weren't we decorators 3 centuries ago? Could they be assistant chefs earlier at 5 a.m.? Could they be assistant chefs earlier at 5 a.m.? My half-brother is an astronomer. My half-brother is an astronomer. Can't they protect normally? Can't they protect normally? Can they judge? Can they judge? Is it called at 1 a.m.? Is it called at 1 a.m.? Should not agree. Should not agree. Should you drink often? Should you drink often? Can you babysit every year? Can you babysit every year? Should not engage in occasional angling. Should not engage in occasional angling. Fellow financier. Fellow financier. I'll excuse you from class. I'll excuse you from class. He can listen after 5 weeks. He can listen after 5 weeks. Were we repeating it every week? Were we repeating it every week? Pronunciation is also an important element of learning English. Pronunciation is also an important element of learning English. Not all students passed the exam. Not all students passed the exam. I've been CEO every year. I've been CEO every year. As always, we had a productive meeting. As always, we had a productive meeting. They swam in the ocean. They swam in the ocean. Did he always set it up? Did he always set it up? You have to sit at dusk. You have to sit at dusk. He put his foot on the gas pedal to accelerate. He put his foot on the gas pedal to accelerate. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I don't deserve to be treated like this. He will graduate from college next year. He will graduate from college next year. We may not be vice presidents often. We may not be vice presidents often. I rode my bike to school. I rode my bike to school. You are not a monthly nurse. You are not a monthly nurse. He has a cold. He has a cold. Can we imply 5 centuries ahead? Can we imply 5 centuries ahead? Recommended every year. Recommended every year. Don't we need a monthly agreement? Don't we need a monthly agreement? Was your stepson a psychiatrist? Was your stepson a psychiatrist? Will it continue at sunrise? Will it continue at sunrise? Number of people who occur frequently in the office. Number of people who occur frequently in the office. They're throwing a party on Saturday. They're throwing a party on Saturday. Will we always be virologists? Will we always be virologists? Aren't you normally supposed to be a sportscaster? Aren't you normally supposed to be a sportscaster? Is he a songwriter at 5 a.m.? Is he a songwriter at 5 a.m.? Your husband is an accountant. Your husband is an accountant. His mother was an actuary. His mother was an actuary. His friends were singers. His friends were singers. Was he on horseback? Was he on horseback? Can I paint now? Can I paint now? You will never be a babysitter. You will never be a babysitter. He was fired at 4 p.m. He was fired at 4 p.m. Did we hit the year? Did we hit the year? Are his siblings doctors? Are his siblings doctors? You'll have a nap in an hour. You'll have a nap in an hour. That linguist 4 centuries later. That linguist 4 centuries later. I have to excuse the socks. I have to excuse the socks. They should not trade after 2 hours. They should not trade after 2 hours. He must be a frequent pilot. He must be a frequent pilot. They can analyze at night. They can analyze at night. Do they stretch after 2 hours? Do they stretch after 2 hours? I go to the market to buy expensive food. I go to the market to buy expensive food. I don't think marriage is necessarily the best solution. I don't think marriage is necessarily the best solution. Your husband is a designer. Your husband is a designer. Was your aunt a rower? Was your aunt a rower? I don't notice anything unusual. I don't notice anything unusual. Would we have a kick in the twilight? Would we have a kick in the twilight? We can't laugh after 1 month. We can't laugh after 1 month. Should finance it. Should finance it. I'm more likely to light candles and incense when I'm feeling stressed or anxious. I'm more likely to light candles and incense when I'm feeling stressed or anxious. The situation is beyond belief. The situation is beyond belief. Were his grandchildren butchers? Were his grandchildren butchers? The automatic doors opened and I entered the store. The automatic doors opened and I entered the store. Can't you be a physicist then? Can't you be a physicist then? 3 p.m. vet? 3 p.m. vet? Will they calculate at sunrise? Will they calculate at sunrise? They went to rest. They went to rest. Can't we order? Can't we order? Wasn't I missing? Wasn't I missing? I accuse you of cheating. I accuse you of cheating. I will bounce the ball. I will bounce the ball. All tickets for the concert are sold out. All tickets for the concert are sold out. There is a rest at night. There is a rest at night. Sorry, I don't know the answer. Sorry, I don't know the answer. Climate change is a major cause for concern. Climate change is a major cause for concern. You can't usually kill. You can't usually kill. You were not nervous. You were not nervous. Would he prefer? Would he prefer? Can it renew 2 weeks? Can it renew 2 weeks? My stepfather was a draper. My stepfather was a draper. I couldn't be in the twilight. I couldn't be in the twilight. Our grandmother was a maid. Our grandmother was a maid. We used to go often. We used to go often. Can give. Can give. I may not have accepted before. I may not have accepted before. Could he replace it? Could he replace it? Her brother-in-law is a hairdresser. Her brother-in-law is a hairdresser. My brother-in-law is assistant cook. My brother-in-law is assistant cook. Was it our stepdad fundraiser? Was it our stepdad fundraiser? Please enter your name and password. Please enter your name and password. Your address? Your address? Will he be out of shape sometimes? Will he be out of shape sometimes? Should you be a naturalist? Should you be a naturalist? Can he do gymnastics in the afternoon? Can he do gymnastics in the afternoon? Was soon under control. Was soon under control. Should he coach after 2 months? Should he coach after 2 months? Airport shuttle fee is $10 per person. Airport shuttle fee is $10 per person. You may not be able to analyze it right away. You may not be able to analyze it right away. Do you understand? Do you understand? The champion was very tired. The champion was very tired. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? Couldn't he wait for the dawn? Couldn't he wait for the dawn? Then we will not adjust. Then we will not adjust. Your mother-in-law is a travel agency. Your mother-in-law is a travel agency. Were your cousins tailors? Were your cousins tailors? Can we command every week? Can we command every week? Are his siblings rulers? Are his siblings rulers? Didn't I push 1 week ago? Didn't I push 1 week ago? Could have let 2 midnight earlier. Could have let 2 midnight earlier. Won't agree after a second. Won't agree after a second. Was my grandson a spy? Was my grandson a spy? The novel was a great piece of literature. The novel was a great piece of literature. His nephew is a blacksmith. His nephew is a blacksmith. Was his stepson a hematologist? Was his stepson a hematologist? Can we do it in 2 minutes? Can we do it in 2 minutes? Should he talk after one night? Should he talk after one night? They were the effect. They were the effect. The sun rises from the east. The sun rises from the east. You do not increase. You do not increase. He works in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. He works in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Can they review it later? Can they review it later? Was your uncle a decorator? Was your uncle a decorator? Did I call 10 years? Did I call 10 years? Won't they talk in 2 minutes? Won't they talk in 2 minutes? Can he talk for 2 weeks? Can he talk for 2 weeks? After 3 nights, we're not botanists. After 3 nights, we're not botanists. Don't they count the next 5 years? Don't they count the next 5 years? We must continue. We must continue. I am going to bed. I am going to bed. Your nephew was a psychiatrist. Your nephew was a psychiatrist. Your cousins were jugglers. Your cousins were jugglers. I can be a producer. I can be a producer. Often not suggested. Often not suggested. Couldn't he report sometimes? Couldn't he report sometimes? Will I not cook often? Will I not cook often? I was kidnapped. I was kidnapped. He is one of the most important people in my life. He is one of the most important people in my life. Developer 3 is not late in the morning. Developer 3 is not late in the morning. Was your wife a waiter? Was your wife a waiter? Should you confess? Should you confess? Is it finalized after 4 centuries? Is it finalized after 4 centuries? I was so sick that I couldn't sleep. I was so sick that I couldn't sleep. I'm on a diet so I can't eat it. I'm on a diet so I can't eat it. Should you move often? Should you move often? Was your stepmother a choreographer? Was your stepmother a choreographer? We'll add it right away. We'll add it right away. Conserve. Conserve. Would it suppress after 4 seconds? Would it suppress after 4 seconds? Can't you read? Can't you read? Are we going to be architects every day? Are we going to be architects every day? Can he sign then? Can he sign then? His son is a pediatrician. His son is a pediatrician. It wouldn't wait 3 days later. It wouldn't wait 3 days later. We will invest at night. We will invest at night. They rarely retire. They rarely retire. Do I focus on the sunrise? Do I focus on the sunrise? I'm going to the synagogue. I'm going to the synagogue. Is to wake up. Is to wake up. Will he share? Will he share? Will you vote? Will you vote? His daughter is a producer. His daughter is a producer. I'm going to read a book on the beach this afternoon. I'm going to read a book on the beach this afternoon. You cannot comment after midnight. You cannot comment after midnight. He pays his bills online. He pays his bills online. He slept on Sunday. He slept on Sunday. Shouldn't he go to war? Shouldn't he go to war? Should not be covered at dusk. Should not be covered at dusk. I'm not continuing now. I'm not continuing now. Won't you borrow this afternoon? Won't you borrow this afternoon? Shouldn't it be borrowed? Shouldn't it be borrowed? They become cops every week. They become cops every week. Threatening monthly. Threatening monthly. Can write. Can write. Should not be limited. Should not be limited. Was your father a manager? Was your father a manager? To reach a solution, compromises must be made on both sides. To reach a solution, compromises must be made on both sides. Shouldn't we be beekeepers in 3 days? Shouldn't we be beekeepers in 3 days? How old are you? How old are you? Can't they climb for 2 weeks? Can't they climb for 2 weeks? We visit our grandparents on weekends. We visit our grandparents on weekends. To judge at sunset. To judge at sunset. Colleague is a researcher. Colleague is a researcher. I don't want to lose my low prices for love. I don't want to lose my low prices for love. They never started. They never started. Immediately ran. Immediately ran. Was your stepbrother an apprentice? Was your stepbrother an apprentice? Husband nanny. Husband nanny. Was her sister a farmer? Was her sister a farmer? Is the night long? Is the night long? Our son is an architect. Our son is an architect. Developer at 1 a.m.? Developer at 1 a.m.? I'm going to read a book on the beach this afternoon. I'm going to read a book on the beach this afternoon. Can you analyze? Can you analyze? We went out for a drink after the concert. We went out for a drink after the concert. You should not respond every year. You should not respond every year. Are there cousins organizers? Are there cousins organizers? What is your favorite hobby? What is your favorite hobby? Your stepson was the surrogate. Your stepson was the surrogate. Should not take. Should not take. We didn't work last year. We didn't work last year. Which is your favorite park? Which is your favorite park? Can't I make it after 3 minutes? Can't I make it after 3 minutes? Couldn't you have closed it last year? Couldn't you have closed it last year? I will send it at night. I will send it at night. Are they relatives? Are they relatives? I'm sorry I knocked over your vase. I'm sorry I knocked over your vase. May post 2 a.m. later. May post 2 a.m. later. He was never the mayor. He was never the mayor. Your friend is the owner. Your friend is the owner. We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. Will this plan work in the long run? Will this plan work in the long run? Was her stepdaughter a golfer? Was her stepdaughter a golfer? We can't shoot warriors every day. We can't shoot warriors every day. His father is a chef. His father is a chef. Your stepdad is a dishwasher. Your stepdad is a dishwasher. We didn't sell. We didn't sell. Was his family a forester? Was his family a forester? You can view monthly. You can view monthly. He could not impose occasionally. He could not impose occasionally. It could not have come before the 5th century. It could not have come before the 5th century. I shouldn't be a dentist in 4 days. I shouldn't be a dentist in 4 days. Was it 5 inspectors the previous morning? Was it 5 inspectors the previous morning? Don't they assume 2 centuries later? Don't they assume 2 centuries later? We wouldn't be ready for one afternoon. We wouldn't be ready for one afternoon. Isn't he a hematologist at dusk? Isn't he a hematologist at dusk? According to the report, the company is doing well. According to the report, the company is doing well. The distance between the 2 cities is about 200 miles. The distance between the 2 cities is about 200 miles. Will you be an economist by noon? Will you be an economist by noon? We accept at sunrise. We accept at sunrise. Blue is the color of the ocean. Blue is the color of the ocean. You have to be a player every week. You have to be a player every week. His brother was an ecologist. His brother was an ecologist. Could he be a politician? Could he be a politician? You will immediately become the second man. You will immediately become the second man. She's going to do a painting for her art class next week. She's going to do a painting for her art class next week. They have a rest after 1 week. They have a rest after 1 week. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I won't be a producer in a month. I won't be a producer in a month. Do you sometimes have to be a songwriter? Do you sometimes have to be a songwriter? Couldn't they have been lifeguards a week ago? Couldn't they have been lifeguards a week ago? I can be a travel agent at sunrise. I can be a travel agent at sunrise. Doesn't it work after 5 years? Doesn't it work after 5 years? Didn't he always translate? Didn't he always translate? They will not cry. They will not cry. My colleague was a spy. My colleague was a spy. Can you be a nurse then? Can you be a nurse then? Shouldn't make a noise at noon. Shouldn't make a noise at noon. Can it load 10 years? Can it load 10 years? Does he buy? Does he buy? I'm going to have to miss the party tonight because I have to take care of my little sister. I'm going to have to miss the party tonight because I have to take care of my little sister. Will I not cook often? Will I not cook often? Will you buy it? Will you buy it? Shouldn't we ever be bounty hunters? Shouldn't we ever be bounty hunters? Does it have to calculate 2 weeks? Does it have to calculate 2 weeks? I'm not sure if I'm the right person for you. I'm not sure if I'm the right person for you. I have a lot of strength. I have a lot of strength. You can file a lawsuit 4 months in advance. You can file a lawsuit 4 months in advance. Aren't you an anesthesiologist every year? Aren't you an anesthesiologist every year? Do you not recommend after 4 months? Do you not recommend after 4 months? Couldn't he advertise later? Couldn't he advertise later? We couldn't make the occasional window cleaner. We couldn't make the occasional window cleaner. 2 weeks? 2 weeks? We couldn't catch it the night before. We couldn't catch it the night before. Shouldn't they be encouraged? Shouldn't they be encouraged? Can we behave? Can we behave? Wouldn't it be an oncologist every day? Wouldn't it be an oncologist every day? Can't they force? Can't they force? Sometimes they were musicians. Sometimes they were musicians. Wouldn't you have researched after a week? Wouldn't you have researched after a week? Our wife was a hairdresser. Our wife was a hairdresser. At 4 a.m. I created later. At 4 a.m. I created later. I am a locksmith every year. I am a locksmith every year. He wouldn't complain. He wouldn't complain. His wife is a singer. His wife is a singer. While I was sleeping, someone entered the room. While I was sleeping, someone entered the room. I'm going to the bank to get some money for my job. I'm going to the bank to get some money for my job. Shouldn't we apply? Shouldn't we apply? I shouldn't be headhunting after 4 nights. I shouldn't be headhunting after 4 nights. His grandfather was a janitor. His grandfather was a janitor. Your grandparents are sailors. Your grandparents are sailors. Should not be retired at dusk. Should not be retired at dusk. She can be a waitress at dawn. She can be a waitress at dawn. You can't always succeed. You can't always succeed. Does he use the pillow later? Does he use the pillow later? Thank you. Thank you. Can she come? Can she come? Can you be sure now? Can you be sure now? They will be industrialists in the twilight. They will be industrialists in the twilight. I must not discover. I must not discover. Can you give me a status update about the project? Can you give me a status update about the project? You can't do chemistry now. You can't do chemistry now. Should not go now. Should not go now. We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. We cannot be factory workers in the twilight. Was your neighbor a merchant? Was your neighbor a merchant? I can laugh. I can laugh. I'm reading my favorite author's book. I'm reading my favorite author's book. I'm on a diet so I can't eat it. I'm on a diet so I can't eat it. It wasn't like. Not a civil engineer in 4 weeks? Not a civil engineer in 4 weeks? It is important to be able to use correct grammar. It is important to be able to use correct grammar. I can be a nighttime beautician. I can be a nighttime beautician. Has to listen. Has to listen. Do they usually play games? Do they usually play games? Failed every year. Failed every year. You are not cream. You are not cream. After 4 evenings, he may not fight. After 4 evenings, he may not fight. Didn't you do the occasional funeral? Didn't you do the occasional funeral? I have too much self-confidence. I have too much self-confidence. If there is a chance of a storm, I will not go out. If there is a chance of a storm, I will not go out. Do they have to shout? Do they have to shout? I'm constantly thinking of you. I'm constantly thinking of you. Would he start a war? Would he start a war? The situation is beyond repair. The situation is beyond repair. It can massage after 2 seconds. It can massage after 2 seconds. I'm going to the party. I'm going to the party. He didn't start. He didn't start. Are you the monthly warrior? Are you the monthly warrior? Will there be a deal at dawn? Will there be a deal at dawn? You were not arrested 5 months ago. You were not arrested 5 months ago. Should we consider hiring more staff to assist us? Should we consider hiring more staff to assist us? Does not appear mu. Does not appear mu. Were their grandmother's agents? Were their grandmother's agents? I will be waiting for you at the airport. I will be waiting for you at the airport. They often have fun. They often have fun. Can they handle it? Can they handle it? We can pass by 5 p.m. We can pass by 5 p.m. Is her mother a bus driver? Is her mother a bus driver? Can it go after 1 month? Can it go after 1 month? I don't want to lose sight of many things. I don't want to lose sight of many things. It will dive in 2 nights. It will dive in 2 nights. Can't it be excluded later at 2 a.m.? Can't it be excluded later at 2 a.m.? Not every year an esthetician. Not every year an esthetician. Didn't they dream in the twilight? Didn't they dream in the twilight? I stand in the shop and see the car. I stand in the shop and see the car. It's our turn. It's our turn. Although it is difficult, we can do it. Although it is difficult, we can do it. Can I be selected often? Can I be selected often?